All right. This is the question from December 2009, September or December 2019 sample pass exam paper. And in this video, in this session, I will discuss this requirement, discuss appropriate accounting treatments which stand company should adopt for all issues identified above and their impact upon gearing. And we will discuss this requirement over here, right, with saying on 1st October 2008, the CEO and the finance director each paid 2 million cash in exchange for preference shares from Stant Company, which provide cumulative dividends of 7% per annum. These preference shares can either be converted into a fixed number of ordinary shares in 2 years' time or redeemed at par on the same date. At the choice of the holder, the finance director suggests to accountant that the preference share should be classified as equity because the conversion is into a fixed number of ordinary shares on a fixed date, fixed for fixed, and conversion is certain given the current market value of the ordinary shares. 4 marks we got, will get, right? So how can we get these 4 marks? Let us discuss. I've opened my file, the Word file. So I'll say IFRS 9 financial instruments defines defines an equity as any contract which evidences a residual interest in the assets of an entity after deducting all of its liabilities. An an equity instrument has no contractual obligation to deliver cash or another financial asset, or to you know how to exchange financial assets or liabilities under potentially unfavorable conditions. So far, so good. Right. Now I will. This is the brief introduction which I gave about it. Right now, I will connect it to the scenario. Now, see how I will do it. Preference shares, which are required to be converted into a fixed number of ordinary shares on a fixed date on a fixed date should be classified as equity. All right, so this is known as the fix for fixed, to which finance director refers. See, I connected it with the scenario. All right, so however, a critical feature in differentiating, now we're discussing further. However, a critical feature in differentiating a financial liability from an equity instrument is the existence of a contractual obligations of the issuer either to deliver cash or another to deliver cash or another financial asset to the issuer. So in this case, Stent Company has issued convertible, redeemable preference shares, which makes little commercial sense from the company's perspective, as they offer the holder the benefit of conversion into ordinary shares if share prices rise, and the security of redemption, right? Right. So financial IFRS 9 financial instruments, IFRS 9 financial instruments notes the substance of a financial instrument rather than its legal form, govern its classification in the entities financial entity statement of financial position, I will say statement of financial position. In bracket, I will write SFP uh, for my short form. Now later on, I do not need to write it fully. I will write in this form, right? So a preference share, a preference share which provide for mandatory redemption, which provide for mandatory redemption for a fixed or determinable amount at a fixed or determinable future date or gives the holder the right to require the issuer to redeem the instrument at a particular date for a fixed or determinable amount is a financial liability. All right, so far so good. Um, the preference shares offers the holder the preference shares offers the holder the choice of sorry, choice of conversion into ordinary shares as well as redemption in 2 years time as mentioned in the scenario. The terms of the financial instrument should be evaluated to determine whether it contains both a liability and an equity instrument, or you can say equity component. Such components are classified separately as compound instruments, recognizing separately the components of a instrument financial instruments which creates both a financial liability of the entity, right? So when the initial carrying amount of a compound financial instrument is allocated to its equity and liability component. The equity component is assigned the residual amount after deducting from the fair value of the instrument as a whole the amount separately determined for the liability component. For the liability component, stand company. See, I'm using the company name to connect it with the scenario. So, like this, you can connect it to the scenario, right? Stand company would measure the fair value of the consideration in respect of the liability component of the liability component based on the fair value of a similar liability based on the fair value of the similar liability without any associated equity conversion option. The equity component is assigned the residual amount, right? So far so good. Finally, I will discuss about the gearing. The gearing would increase if the draft financial would statements had included the preference shares within the equity. The correction would increase non-current debt, the present value of the future obligations, and decrease equity. The present value of the future obligations, and it will decrease equity. So guys, I hope you got it, that how to draft the answer. uh, Please forgive me about this spelling mistakes as I was trying to draft my answer quickly. I hope you got it how to draft the answer. Just use the pencil paragraph, 3 or 4 paragraph each, and just go line by line approach as I did, and that's it.